What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today on NHL 21 we will be doing a normal career simulation for the first time in a few weeks, and this one will be on Nils Höglander of the Vancouver Canucks. Höglander was drafted 40th overall in 2019 by the Vancouver Canucks, and it didn't take long for people to realize that this was a very decent second round pick. Since being drafted, he has spent his time away from the NHL playing in the SHL, and he even appeared in the 2020 World Juniors. In the tournament, he put up some very respectable numbers, including 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points in 7 games. So far this year, he has been one of the very few bright spots for the struggling Vancouver Canucks, and in 23 games he has himself 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points. He is a smaller guy at 5'9", but his presence is definitely felt on the ice, and he's looking to be a very promising forward for the Vancouver Canucks moving forward. So today on NHL 21 we will be simulating his career year by year and checking in on his stats as well as if he wins any awards. Now let's get into year number 1 and see if Höglander makes the Canucks roster in this universe. So Höglander does make the Vancouver Canucks lineup and will be starting off on the third line at left wing, playing on a line with Adam Gaudette and Zach McEwen. Höglander is starting off at 79 overall with medium top 6 potential. Some of his stats to start off with include 89 speed, 88 offensive awareness, 85 deking, and 85 passing. Not too bad, definitely room to grow, and now let's see if he can make a run for the Calder and help the Canucks make the playoffs. The Vancouver Canucks have a good regular season, finishing 13th in the NHL and making the postseason. In the playoffs, they fell in the first round in 7 games to the Chicago Blackhawks. Nils Höglander in 80 games in the regular season had himself 12 goals and 21 assists for 33 points. In the playoffs, he appeared in all 7 games for Vancouver and had just 1 assist. He remains at 79 overall, and Alexis Lafreniere wins the Calder Trophy. Vancouver builds off last year and have an even bigger regular season here in year 2 that sees them finish 6th in the NHL and winning the Pacific Division. They matched up with Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers in the first round and once again lost in 7 games in the first round. Nils Höglander has a great sophomore season that sees him score 23 goals and 41 assists for 64 points. This year's playoffs saw him produce more, and he had 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points. With all this, he jumps up to an 85 overall. After 2 straight good years of making the playoffs, the Canucks in year 3 fell off a bit and missed the playoffs as they finished 19th in the NHL. Despite the team not doing too well, Nils Höglander still has a solid year and in 77 games scored 16 goals and 40 assists for 56 points on the year. He increased up to an 86 overall, and in the postseason re-signs with the Canucks on a 3-year deal worth $5.7 million per year. Vancouver bounces back and finishes 6th in the NHL for the second time in 3 years. The playoffs are better than most years so far, and we see the Canucks go to the Western Conference Finals where they lose to the San Jose Sharks in 5 games. Höglander has his best season yet, and in it put up 26 goals and 44 assists for 70 points. In the run to the conference finals, he was great for Vancouver with 6 goals and 16 assists for 22 playoff points. Nils Höglander is now up to an 88 overall. The Canucks seem to once again be on the downtrend as they are once again on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs. They finished 18th in the NHL and missed the playoffs by just 1 point. Although the Canucks missed the playoffs, Nils Höglander has his career best season once again and in 79 games had 27 goals and 48 assists for 75 points. He increased up to an 89 overall heading into the final year of his current deal, and here are the awards for the last 5 seasons for those who are interested. The ups and downs for the Canucks continue as in year 6 they are once again a top team in the league as they finished 4th in the NHL. In the playoffs they got by the Sharks in the first round but fell to Edmonton in the second round. Nils Höglander again with a solid regular season. This year he had 71 points after scoring 26 goals and 45 assists. In the playoffs he had 2 goals and 6 assists for an additional 8 playoff points. He drops back down to an 88 overall and in the offseason re-signs with the Canucks on a 4-year deal worth $9.6 million per year. Vancouver falls off a cliff in year 7 as they fall all the way to 27th in the NHL and obviously missed out on the playoffs. Nils Höglander took a tiny bit of a step back in production this year, but the team did so poorly that I'm not too concerned. This year saw him finish with 25 goals and 41 assists for 66 points in the regular season. He remains at 88 overall, and hopefully Vancouver can get more consistent. For the second straight season, the Canucks struggle, and this year has them 20th in the NHL. Nils Höglander bounces back this season and set a new career high with 82 points in 82 games. He had himself 34 goals and 48 assists and increased back up to an 89 overall. The Canucks are back on the upswing of the inconsistencies and are now again a top team in the NHL as they finish 7th in the league. Come playoff time, they go on an amazing run and win the Stanley Cup over the Pittsburgh Penguins in 5 games. Stanley Cup champion Nils Höglander had a huge regular season with 36 goals and 53 assists for 89 points, and in the playoffs was unstoppable with 15 goals and 19 assists for 34 points. He wins the Conn Smythe and remains at 89 overall. The defending Stanley Cup champion Vancouver Canucks finished 14th in the NHL, and in their attempt to defend their championship, they fell to the Calgary Flames in the first round in 6 games. Nils Höglander is still putting up good numbers, and he potted 26 goals and 55 assists for 81 points in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had 7 points in 6 games and remained an 89 overall. This was the last year of his current deal, and in the offseason, Höglander moved on from the Vancouver Canucks and signed with the Boston Bruins on a massive 7-year deal worth $11.1 million per year. Canucks fans are definitely not going to like that. Also, here are the awards for the last 5 years once again. So 10 years into his career now, Nils Höglander has played in 807 NHL games, scored 251 goals and 436 assists for 687 career points so far. Along with these really solid numbers, he has himself a Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe from that cup win. Höglander has been great for the Canucks in the last 10 years, and now let's see what he could do with the Boston Bruins. Signing with the Bruins may not have been the best idea, as the Bees finished 28th in the league and missed out on the playoffs. Nils Höglander in his first year as a Bruin scored 22 goals and 51 assists for 73 points on the year. Not a bad season as an individual, but he does drop to an 86 overall. The Boston Bruins get even worse in year number 12 as they drop from 28th in the NHL to 30th in the league. Nils Höglander, who was probably regretting signing with the Bruins, had 16 goals and 48 assists for 64 points on the year. He does not have a major drop this year and remains at an 86 overall. The Boston Bruins in year 13 decide to move on from Nils Höglander, and they end up trading him to the Columbus Blue Jackets at the trade deadline. I apologize, I completely missed it. Anyway, with the Jackets, he helped them finish 7th in the NHL and make the playoffs. In them, they do not last long and lose to the Washington Capitals in 5 games. Höglander missed parts of the season due to injury, and in 60 games put up 15 goals and 29 assists for 44 points. He missed the playoffs due to injuries and dropped to an 85 overall. The Columbus Blue Jackets go on to have another great season as they finished 4th in the NHL and once again made the Stanley Cup playoffs. In them, they got to the second round where they fell to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals in 7 games. Nils Höglander again struggled to stay healthy this year, and in 73 games he had 24 goals and 34 assists for 58 points. In the playoffs, he was solid with 4 goals and 4 assists for 8 points, and he remains at an 85 overall. The Columbus Blue Jackets have a massive regular season that sees them finishing on top of the NHL and winning the President's Trophy. They go on a fairly decent run, but the Buffalo Sabres prove to be too much for them as they sweep them in the 3rd round. Nils Höglander is still proving he's a solid scorer in the NHL, and at 34 years old, his regular season saw him with 27 goals and 46 assists for 73 points. The playoffs were no different, and he had himself 17 points in 16 games. With all this, he remains at an 85 overall. The Blue Jackets once again put together a good regular season and once again fall short in the playoffs, as this year the Flyers take them out in 6 games. Höglander's regular season had him with 17 goals and 44 assists for 61 points in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had just 1 assist and actually ends up increasing in overall to an 86. For the 5th straight year, the Columbus Blue Jackets again make the playoffs as they finished 4th in the NHL. The playoffs are the same story though, and the Pittsburgh Penguins end up upsetting them in the 1st round. Höglander in the final year of his current deal put up 23 goals and 43 assists for 63 points, and in the playoffs had 3 assists in 5 games. He drops back to an 85 overall, and in the offseason re-signs with the Jackets on a 1-year $8.1 million deal. Columbus fell off a cliff here in year 18 and finished 27th in the NHL. Despite this, Höglander still managed to put up 50 points in 70 games after scoring 14 goals and 36 assists. He dropped to an 81 overall and in the offseason signed another one-year deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets had a pretty frustrating run in year 19 as they finished 16th in the NHL and missed the playoffs by just 1 point. Nils Höglander, at 38 years old, played in 77 games and put up 9 goals and 34 assists for 43 points on the year. He dropped to a 78 overall and decides to call it a career and retire. So in 1,490 NHL games, Nils Höglander scored 418 goals and 801 assists for 1,219 career NHL points. He was a plus 110 in his career, and along with these great numbers was a Stanley Cup champion and the Conn Smythe winner on that run. He had an amazing career as it is, and when you take into the fact that he was a second-round pick, it makes it even more special. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week we will be doing Trevor Zegras as they just added him to the game. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.